The last Dragonborn, a mortal born with the blood of the dragon, blessed by Akatosh, avatar of Shore, a hero, a symbol of divinity at least. That's what you've been told, isn't it? The last Dragonborn isn't a savior at all. He's a pawn, puppet, an unwitting piece in a game that was rigged long before the Dragonborn was even born. And the one pulling the strings? Not Akatosh, not Shore, but something far, far darker. Throughout the main Elder Scrolls games, particularly the last three, the protagonists have shared many similarities, starting off a prisoner nobody, ending up being some legendary hero of prophecy, and ultimately doing something that changes the course of reality itself. But there's one similarity that I can't help but be intrigued with, and that's that all of these protagonists seem to share the trait of ultimately ending up being a pawn to one of the Daedric Lords, which takes effect regardless of the player's choices in-game. I reiterate, the dark fate of these heroes, the Dragonborn included, is not caused nor undone by the player's in-game choices. What, all the Elder Scrolls protagonists serve the Daedra? What the fuck am I talking about? Well, the most obvious one would be the Nerevarine, the protagonist of Morrowind, being the reincarnation of the hero Nerevar, champion of the Daedric Prince Azura. Daedric Lords are higher beings abstract to the mortal mind. They cannot be slain nor easily deceived. After her champion was slain, Azura swore that he will one day come back to fulfill his purpose to her. That reincarnation is who you play as in Morrowind. Everything the Nerevarine does in the game has been pre-orchestrated by Azura. Then there's the hero of Kvatch, our protagonist in Oblivion, who in the Shivering Isles DLC encounters the Daedric Lord Sheogorath, the Prince of Madness. And upon the end of the Shivering Isles DLC, the hero of Kvatch becomes Sheogorath himself, effectively being overridden by the Daedric Lord of Madness, with interesting changes to the game, such as praying at the Shrine of Sheo before becoming him.
Another mortal dares to summon me, and already I'm bored.
And after.
Praying to yourself, my lord? That's not a good sign. Or perhaps it is. Prince of Madness and all that.
Even in Skyrim, if you decide to do Sheogorath's quest, he teases that he's the hero of Kvatch by referencing events from Oblivion.
I was there for that whole sordid affair. Marvelous time. Butterflies, blood, a fox, a severed head, and the cheese!
Alright, those two are rather well known. But what about the Dragonborn? Is he too subject to inevitably be the pawn of a Daedric Lord? Does this pattern repeat a third time? Well, yes. When it comes to open-ended games like this, where the player has so much choice, it becomes difficult to define specific canon events. Because of course, the way that the game pans out depends on player choices. Even major events such as, did the Dark Brotherhood kill the Emperor, or was the faction destroyed? Did the Imperial Legion win the Skyrim Civil War, or was it the Stormcloak Rebellion? Even these such events are heavily influenced by player choice. There does, however, seem to be a clearly defined canon when it comes to these games, and that is the fact that the overarching main story and DLC storylines are always canon. Once again, I reiterate, overarching, such as the Dragonborn killing Alduin being canon, but things like, was he fair to both sides of the war during the peace talks in that storyline? Did he kill Parthenax? Those are more on the maybe side. For example, it is canon that the Dragonborn defeated the Vampire Lord Harkon in the Dawnguard DLC and stopped the tyranny of the sun, but whether he did it as a vampire hunter or a vampire lord himself is the iffy part. The reason I established this is in order to lay grounds for my reasoning moving forward when I explain the dark fate of the Dovahkiin. Since the player has choice in Skyrim, you could do an evil playthrough, but you can also not. Therefore, we will only use information from the main questline, main DLC story, and only from the overarching narrative therein. And no matter the choices you make as the player, this dark fate is one you cannot escape. Your free will is an illusion. You will continue to serve him, whether you acknowledge it or not. From the very beginning of the Dragonborn DLC, Miraak, the first Dragonborn, servant of Hermaeus Mora, is trying to escape his master's realm. But something interesting happens. Somehow he finds out of the existence of the last Dragonborn, you the player, and in his hubris, sends a pair of lowly cultists to assassinate him. The Dragonborn slays the cultists, finds the orders on a note on one of the bodies, and travels to Solstheim to investigate, leading to the last Dragonborn entering the realm of Hermaeus Mora through a black book, gaining forbidden knowledge from Mora himself, sacrificing a good man in his pursuit of even more forbidden knowledge, and ultimately defeating Miraak in Mora's realm of Apocrypha, the entire time being told by Mora that he will be Miraak's replacement as the Dragonborn at his side, and he will be. Apart from being the god of knowledge and hunger, Hermaeus Mora is also the god of fates. And I believe it is possible that from the very moment the Dragonborn woke up on that wagon on its way to Helgen, or perhaps from the moment of the Dragonborn's very birth, Hermaeus Mora has been guiding him. Why do I think this? Well, had Miraak not sent those cultists to kill the last Dragonborn, he would not have been discovered by his fellow Dovahkiin. How did Miraak even know there's another Dragonborn in the first place, being trapped in Apocrypha and all? Well, clearly he has influence outside the Daedric Prince's realm, but I think it more likely that Miraak learned of the last Dragonborn from Hermaeus Mora himself, knowingly or not. He's in the Daedric realm of knowledge. He could have learned of the last Dragonborn's prophecy to slay Alduin centuries before it happened, having been in the Endless Library for so long. Or perhaps he was told this by Mora directly. The Daedric Prince, knowing full well that Miraak's arrogance and pride as Dragonborn would cause him to blow his cover, ultimately leading to his defeat. And why does Hermaeus Mora want to replace Miraak in the first place, despite being seemingly satisfied with his service? It's because Miraak wanted to break free. No matter what options you choose in the dialogue with Mora, you do not have the same flaw as a servant as Miraak did. You will not attempt to break free from under his control. Why not? Well, if the player chooses to roleplay as a devout servant of the Daedric Lord by choosing dialogue options as yes my lord, yes master, referring to him as such, acknowledging Hermaeus Mora as his master, then you don't even want to break free, as you have chosen to be at Mora's side. Okay, fine. But if you choose the other options such as I will never serve you, monster, well, that's even more chilling, as this comes to mind.
Your free will is an illusion. Whether you acknowledge me or not is your own business, but I will be in your mind. As I told when I gave you the Alchemot Infinium, your free will is an illusion. Why else would you be?
Meaning that this form of servant, the unwilling but unknowing servant, will also not have the same flaw of attempting to break free as Miraak did, as what slave is less likely to attempt escape is one who thinks he is free. And what of Mora's artifact, the Ogma Infinium? Its iteration in Skyrim is the most unique Daedric artifact in any Elder Scrolls game, even compared to the version of the same artifact that we see in Oblivion. How is it so unique? Well, the way that you get other Daedric artifacts is through side quests, where you do the bidding of a Daedric Lord in exchange for a powerful artifact. The Ogma Infinium in Oblivion included. In Skyrim you can get it that way as well, but if you do, you'll also end up getting the Elder Scroll dragon that you need for the main storyline, and if you don't do it like that and you continue the main storyline first, you will eventually need to find the dragon scroll and start the Daedric quest regardless. You cannot complete the main story without starting the quest for the Ogma Infinium. It's the only Daedric artifact directly tied to a main storyline, and having established that the main storylines are canon, perhaps it is also canon that the Dragonborn read the Ogma Infinium. While yes, you don't need to complete Mora's Daedric artifact quest in order to complete the main storyline, as you get the dragon scroll earlier during the Daedric quest, you still need to see most of it through. And what do you think is more likely? That the Dragonborn did not bring the transcribed lexicon back to Septimus after retrieving the scroll, or that he saw that quest through to the end? When a mortal uses a Daedric artifact, they effectively sell their soul to the corresponding Daedric Lord. Now in your playthrough, you might have taken another Daedric artifact, sold your soul to another Daedric Lord, multiple ones, or perhaps even all of them. But again, the Ogma Infinium is the only one tied to the main story. It's the only time that the Dragonborn selling his soul to a Daedric Lord might be canon. What if after his death, the Dragonborn's soul is doomed to Apocrypha, his mind corrupted by the incomprehensible knowledge of that book and the other forbidden secrets he had learned from Hermaeus Mora? The last Dragonborn's steps have been guided from the very beginning. Even in the base game's main story, his tentacles are tangled up, weaving the threads of fate. Old Herma Mora has his many eyes set on you. Like his predecessors before him, the hero of this Elder Scrolls game is an unwitting pawn serving a grander, dark purpose. You have done nothing on your own. Who do you think protected you on your journey? Your free will is an illusion. Whether you acknowledge me or not is your own business, but I will be in your mind. But hey, that's just a theory.